I always find it fascinating. We always have a difficult time in settling disputes. You know, the gospel clearly lays out the order of action. If you have an issue with somebody, acknowledge, even if it's a difficult thing, acknowledge their human dignity, set them aside, and talk to them privately. Well, and then after, if that doesn't work out, they're still obstinate, well, then that's when you bring in other people to help out. But just don't let the first place to air out an argument be on social media, for goodness sake. At least give someone an opportunity to deal with it first, right? Maybe you heard the kids stirring this morning. You opened your eyes. You're like, oh, it can't be morning already. It's Sunday, I have to get them dressed. You wash up, you get the kids washed up. You throw the paper inside, try to keep the kids from killing each other over who gets the comics first. You get some breakfast on, get some coffee in yourself and cereal in the kids. You look at the clock, oh my goodness, we're already late. All right, get the kids in the car, you've got to go. You drive down your street. You notice as you're driving, you seem to be one of the few families stirring. Everyone else is going to be having a relaxing breakfast, and it hits you. We are in a minority on our street, in our neighborhood. We're one of the few families that goes to church Sunday morning. 5 of you made the trip to corporate headquarters in, let's say, Atlanta. Second night, 4 of the others found dates. 3 of them are married. But their view is that what their spouses don't know won't hurt them. But you go to a movie by yourself and it's so clear to you, I wouldn't even think of cheating yet. I'm in the minority? You are among 96 of the most brilliant college graduates who have been accepted to a particular med program. Your excitement includes finally getting to study to be a doctor, as well as the new way you can have to frame your life with an off-campus apartment in a quiet area so you can study in the few hours you're not in class. You ask for the nearest location of the nearest church and find that there are only 3 others of the 96 who even believe in God, let alone practice any faith tradition. You are in the minority. Most of the people in the office you work in do go to church. About half of them are Catholic. And you're shocked when someone talks about abortion and says, well, I'm Catholic, but I don't go along with what the church is saying on abortion. And everyone else seems to be agreeing with the person. You are in the minority. The sociology teacher in high school asks, how many of your families are active members of some church or synagogue? Less than 10 of the 35 in the class raised their hands. You suddenly realize that you are in the minority. Perhaps some of these situations or others like them have occurred in your life. Perhaps they occur frequently. Perhaps you've wondered, why am I the one in the minority? Why am I getting up early on Sunday morning when the rest are sleeping in? Why am I the one who is alone at the movies when others are out having a good time? Why am I the only one in med school who structures church around into my crowded week? Why am I the only one who accepts the church's teachings on abortion, euthanasia, sexual discipline, excessive materialism, cohabitation, contraception, all across the board? Why is my family the only family going to church? When questions like this disturb us, we have to remember Jesus never promised that we would be in the majority. He just promised that he would be with us always. See, the Gospel of Matthew revolves around this very theme. Jesus is with us, even if we seem to be just a small, insignificant number, even if we just happen to be 2 or 3 gathered in his name. In the beginning of Matthew, Jesus is called Emmanuel, the name that means God is with his people. The last words of the gospel are, "Know that I am with you always, even until the end of time." And moreover, in the middle of the gospel, we have the concluding words of today's gospel reading. "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them." We go to Mass because we believe in Jesus Christ. We worship God. We need to. Our very being cries out, if we believe in Christ, we must worship him. We must give him thanks and be grateful to everything he has done for us and continues to do for us. We believe in his presence in word and sacrament. And we realize we need his presence, not just in our own individual lives, but in our families. Now, we come to Mass primarily to worship God, to render justice to him, but we know we have we get trained, we're finite, we're not, we're not superhuman, right? And God understands this. That's why he's always more generous to us than we are to him. So when we come bringing our very selves as an offering in thanksgiving to this Mass, to each and every week, he gives us way more than we have given to him. And we get our spiritual batteries charged with the grace of his scriptural and sacramental presence. We come so that we can have the courage to make it through another week, especially if we're called upon to stand up for our faith. We come so we can pray, "Lord, my life is difficult at times, but you called us to marriage. You made me a father, mother. You called me to the priesthood, religious life, to the single life. Help me to answer your call well." We come to pray for others. Lord, may the people in my neighborhood, on my street, nourish the place you must have in their families. Lord, may the people at work learn to honor, value, and respect their marriages, their commitments, their families. Lord, may the others in school learn that without you, medicine is a science without direction. Lord, may other Catholics stand behind your Spirit in the church, and Lord, may my family and the families of all in my school grow closer to you. And we come to receive the grace to live our lives in a way that proclaims the presence of the Lord on earth. Our church is big, but there are not many attending Mass in comparison to those who won't attend church. Now, I don't say this to be distressing or disturbing, but you have to say the reality. But you have to remember, especially in this country, we started from the very beginning, this country especially was founded, we were in the minority. I remember when I was first in seminary, we went to visit the Basilica in Baltimore, the first cathedral in the United States. And Bishop Carroll was very intentional. He was very well aware that Catholics were a minority class, and there were still many in this new nation that harbored resentment, anger, or aggression towards the church and its members. you know. And so he was very intentional with its architecture. And so when you go, you'll notice there are no stained glass windows at the first cathedral of the United States, because he wanted those who wanted to be able to look in and see, and not let any mystery, anything secret going on. Like, this is who we are, this is what we're about, and we can peer in and let those kind of hesitant neighbors kind of like, oh. That was an intentional thing he did. There was a very brief period of time that there are, many still alive today that may have a memory of where we actually where we actually were a dominant force in this country, but it was a very brief period. And for some reason that seemed to have dominated our entire memory. And we seem to think that it paints the whole history of our church, but that's not the case. From the very beginning, we were very small, in the midst of persecution. And in a sense, the Lord even envisioned this. It's like, we want all to come to know him, to serve him, to be transformed by him. But ruling powers don't necessarily always agree and conform to that, and we see that throughout time in history. So in the sense, it's living in such a way that we are, and we always be, in the minority. But this is why we need each other. This is why we need to do what we do each and every week, to know that we're not alone. And moreover than not, we need to engage with each other, even outside. I remember one of the most difficult summers of my life. One of the most, the time that I struggled the most in my faith was the summer right after college. I was kind of dabbling into the political sphere. I was thinking, if maybe is God calling me into the political sphere or the priesthood, and well, let's go down this one track. And well, when God gives you a clue, I eventually got one that later that summer, but that's another story. But I just remember that was the first time that I didn't have a known parish environment to support me. This was a new area, a new part of the state that I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anyone in the local parish there. And this was the first time where my engagement with parish life was just Sunday morning. So I found a church mass time that really worked with everything, and I would show up there, 22 years old, fresh out of college, not knowing anybody. And I showed up to the same mass time, the same location, all summer. 18 years later, you know what my lasting memory of that is? Not once did anyone say hello. It's tough to feel alone in the world. It's even tougher sometimes, to come to your church family that you expect to be known and to get people who care about you, but to still feel alone. The devil's going to do anything to divide us, to separate us, and to make us feel that we're alone, that God doesn't care, that God is not with us. Let us not play into his hands. Let us use every opportunity that we have to help one another know that we are not alone in this spiritual battle. Let's not be fooled that will ever be popular in the world. Let us help one another know that we are not alone in those moments of struggle. Let us at least know each other and to support each other and to encourage each other. we will always be in the minority. It's one of these realities sometimes we can fool ourselves to think. But Jesus Christ never promised us that we would be in the majority. He just promised that he would be with us always. So let us help one another each and every week. Seek to support each other so that we can truly be faithful to the one who is always faithful to us.